Welcome back to Our Community, Susie Thomas. And we are talking with Cindy Petiti from Petiti Garden. Tell me the exact words, because there is another Petiti out there.
Exactly. Anthony Petiti Garden Center, the organic greenhouse of Stark County.
And everywhere.
Right. Yeah. So we are not affiliated with the ones in Cleveland. Great garden center. But they do a lot more of furniture and home decor and things like that. And we are an organic greenhouse. That's our big difference.
An organic greenhouse, and the only one you're going to find in like a five-county area.
About a 5-county. Actually, last summer, we had some folks come from Zanesville, and they said they were Googling organic greenhouses in the state of Ohio, and we were the closest to them. So there's not a lot of us.
All right, before we went on the air, we were talking about roses and the things that can happen to them.
Right.
Help us grow beautiful roses.
Right.
What do we need to know?
Sun. They like the heat of the sun. They don't like damp soils. I always say if you want to grow beautiful roses, fertilize them and hold an umbrella over them. Because,
okay.
But not really. They do really like to be in an area where after a rain, they dry out quickly. So not underneath a tree where they're going to continue to get dripped on after the rain for hours. They like to have that leaf dried off. Also in the fall, as your leaves fall off, rake up every one of those leaves and get them out of there. Because if you did have a little bit of black spot, a little bit of powdery mildew, if we don't have a really, really hard, cold winter, those spores will overwinter and stay there in your soil. Getting those leaves all away is definitely a way to help that. Also, fertilize in the spring and in the fall, and also use a copper fungicide to control those before you have the problem. If you have had insects and diseases on your roses in the past, there are neem oil is great. Just the copper fungicide if you're having more diseases than you are insect issues, but it's going to control the powdery mildew, the black spot, all of those issues that you're going to have with your roses. But fertilization, roses really like to be fertilized. They really do.
Any particular kind?
Rose tone, I am a fan of rose tone. Like I said, in the spring and the fall, spring is to help boost your flowers, and fall is to feed that root system. The plant is going dormant, and so all of that food goes into building a healthy root system. So then you're going to have a healthier plant in the spring, and then when you fertilize in the spring, that all goes to flower. So you want to do it twice a year to build that root system for a strong plant, and then in the spring for beautiful flowers.
Do roses like to grow on a trellis? How do they best like to grow?
Well, if you have a climbing rose, yes, they like to grow on a trellis. A hybrid tea rose, the old hybrid teas, they don't need to, but they will. You will find them a little bit more supported if they have a trellis. If you have the newer roses like the knockouts, they do not need a trellis in any way, shape, or form. They are a shrub rose. They're going to max out at about 3.5 feet by 3.5 feet, and they're going to grow like a shrub, and they do not need anything to grow on. And they bloom quite a while too. They're a nice long bloomer. No smell though. You don't get that scent. So it's give and take. Long bloom time, but no smell. And a lot of things have been hybridized that way. There's a lot of perennial flowers, just like the Stelladora daylily. It comes from that original old, people call it a tiger lily, that daylily. They've been hybridized so that they bloom longer, but you don't get that height and you don't get that bang of color. So
we were talking about shearing and versus pruning.
Pruning, right. And there's a big difference. A lot of people use those words intertwined like they're one, and they are so totally not. My father-in-law used to say that no one knows how to prune. And it's true because everyone likes that quick head shear. You got the gas or the electric shears and you're shearing it and you can get through bing, bang, boom and you're done. But that is really not the best thing for your plants. Pruning is going to be so much better for your plants because you get into that plant, you prune out a nice large piece so that air and light can get down into the middle. That's so many times why our evergreens, if it is a needled evergreen or a leafed evergreen, we shear them up, we get all that dense growth on the outside, and then no light and no air gets inside. And we all know with no light and no air, we die. And our plants are the same way.
So instead of shaping them from the outside, you want to go inside and make them hollow, or what are you
Well, you don't
suggesting?
really go and make them hollow. You can shear from the outside, and then you start pruning. And you actually make some holes in there where the light and the air, on the back side, even in the top. And then once you're done, rub your hands all over the shrub and like you're knocking off what you trimmed. But when you do that, you'll fluff it up so much you
And it
won't even
fills in?
see. Yeah, you won't even see your holes that you made, but it allows for light and air on the inside. And if you're really daring, you can actually lay down on the ground and look up into the shrub. And if you can see light and coming through at different places, you know you've cut enough holes. If you can't, then you need to cut a few more holes.
Okay.
But you have to be one of those people, you're not too worried about your hair at that time because you're on the ground in the mulch. It's going to be all over you. You
gonna
gotta
happen.
You gotta love it.
Oh,
yeah,
it's fun to just get around in the dirt and roll around a
exactly.
little bit.
Yes, you know it.
Okay, today's May 22nd. Memorial Day is coming up in about a week. When do we really start to plant? I've been told wait until Memorial Day because we live in Ohio. You always get that last
That's
freeze.
true. It's very possible. It is always very possible. A couple farmers have a few other ideas. Some of the farmers say after the full moon, you're usually safe. And we might be. But if we have a clear night on the full moon of May, we just about will always have a frost. If you live in low-lying areas, you have to watch that too because you're going to get a frost before other people will. Also, some farmers say if we have a thunderstorm in February on any particular day, that same day in May, we will have a frost.
And does that hold out?
Well, I don't know, but there are some farmers that I sit on the fair board with, and they swear by that. So they said the 24th of February,
Okay.
2 days from now,
Yeah.
there was a thunderstorm. So May 24th, 2 days from now, we are going to have a frost.
And yet
now,
we're hearing about record highs.
exactly. Right. So, and last week, look, we had days in the 80s.
Exactly.
Yes. So, you just
Who
never
knows?
know. I am with you. Wait till Memorial Day and you know you're safe.
Okay.
Now, I have to say, in 2002, my husband and I were landscaping a house in Glenmore. It was in the garden center's a tour of shows, show gardens. And we planted petunias on a retaining wall. And June 6th, I had to cover because there was a frost. So it does happen.
6th.
June 6th. We had some snow flurries. Yeah,
I
June 6th.
don't even remember
Yeah,
that. You
exactly.
would think I would
Yeah, that
remember
was a long
snow
time.
in June.
But it was just a few flurries. But actually, I had to go out to Glenmore and cover after dark because you can't have things, at Glenmore covering, And then I had to be back out there at 7 a.m. to uncover.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I'm doing it because I had planted all these petunias so that this house was a showpiece.
Yes.
And so it does happen. The 1st of June you can. But usually we are safe by Memorial Day. So come on out this weekend. Get all your vegetable plants, your annuals. We're going to help you make the nice selection so that you have some great vegetables to grow because we want to grow a few vegetables yourself.
Okay. Now, do you recommend growing some vegetables like out in front of the home, or should you have a garden someplace?
No, you
Should
really-
the front of the house be pretty much landscape?
No, I think that your whole landscape could be edible. Your whole entire landscape could be edible.
edible
An edible
landscaping.
landscape.
What would that look like? What would
Well,
be in
blueberry bushes are beautiful.
Oh.
Beautiful. They are absolutely great fall color. They have a beautiful flower. Use that as your shrubs in the front. Raspberries. Use strawberries as your ground covers. Have a fruit tree, a semi-dwarf fruit tree as your anchor on your corner of your house. You really could. You have a totally edible landscape. It's very, very possible. Elderberry bushes are beautiful. Gooseberry bushes are beautiful. So you really could do this. In the wintertime, it's not going to be beautiful because you don't have a lot of evergreens,
Right,
So in the
right.
wintertime, your landscape isn't going to be beautiful. But knowing that in the springtime, you're going to be able to harvest strawberries right from your landscape.
Yeah, that
Great.
might be
And
a
then
good
you have to
payoff.
remember also that potted vegetables do great. I mean, tomatoes and peppers, zucchini and cucumbers even do great in a pot. I mean, wonderful. So there are some great bush zucchinis. You're still going to get 15 zucchinis off of the plant, but you don't need, a 6x6 area for one zucchini plant.
Okay, this is true.
Right.
What about herbs or herbs? However, I've heard it pronounced
Right.
both ways. Are they good as far as like landscaping?
They're
And then
wonderful.
I'd love to be able to cook with them.
Exactly. I mean, chives and oregano and
Yes.
parsley, very hardy. Lavender
they?
as well. So you could plant them right in your landscape, and then be able to harvest right off of them. Your basil, your cilantro, your dill, rosemary. Only if we have a mild winter is it. But great in a pot right outside. Have them on your deck. Even.
Oh, that is a great idea. Do you have to be facing a certain direction?
You know what? As long as you get a half a day of sun, doesn't matter if it's morning or afternoon, that's going to be enough for your herbs and your vegetables. And even you don't even need that much if you're growing like lettuce. And lettuce is very pretty also. If you don't have an issue with rabbits.
Oh, wait, we do.
I was going to say, then you could put lettuce in your vegetable or in your landscape beds. It's very,
Sure.
very pretty. But rabbits love it too.
Now, that's a big thing because we are talking about living in the country. And if you're going to be having an edible landscape, are you not inviting all of the animals of the country to come into your
Right,
front
but there
yard?
are some very good repellents
Okay.
that you can. And, maybe of the border of your landscape, plant some stuff for them. Let them fill up on it.
Oh, this is for you.
Uh-huh.
Now get full and don't come the
And
rest
don't
of the
come
way.
on into my front landscape, And then maybe a little bit of a barrier of a repellent, like Repelzol is a very good repellent. Use that as a barrier in between yours and theirs, But lettuce seed is cheap. Just sow a little row of lettuce seed on the outside of your lawn area if you do have a lawn area. But yeah, sow some lettuce on the outside and let them fill up on it.
There
If
you
they're
go. That's
full,
yours. This is ours.
if they're full, they're not going to keep coming past and eat yours.
Okay, this is blowing my mind because it's a new way of thinking about all of this. Cindy Petiti, tell us again how people can reach you.
They can give me a call at 330-455-5997. They can email me at cindypetiti@gmail.com, or better yet, just stop by the store at 5828 Columbus Road, Nimishillen Township, right on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway.
And tune in
On Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. for the Petiti Pro Lawn, Garden, and Organics show, right here on the light.
Cindy Petiti, thank you so much for being on our community today.
Thank you so much.